Conflict is one of those electric words in our life. And we have written a book about conflict called Red Zone, Blue Zone, because what we have found is that the best organizations and the worst organizations in our lives are loaded with conflict. It's not, in other words, the conflict itself that's the problem. It's the nature of the conflict. And that's what this book that we have written is all about, actually. Conflict is universal, and I would argue that conflict is actually essential to any healthy organization's life. But conflict, as I like to think about it, is very much like fire. Fire can heat your home. Fire can cook your food. Fire can also burn your house down. And understanding the nature of it becomes extremely important. Conflict is actually, it's inevitable, but we must understand the nature of it for it to be helpful. Here's actually what happens when we are in conflict. Often conflict will begin with us focusing on the nature of the mission that we are involved with in our organizations, but there's a subtle shift that actually starts to take place. That shift involves the fact that the conflict no longer is focusing on the mission, but subtly it begins to focus on self. In other words, as I am in conflict, I begin to reach down inside of my own self, inside of my own story, and begin to access issues such as acceptance, such as control, such as competence, that then become the focus of the conflict. This book, I think, more than anything else, will be very, very helpful to you in understanding yourself. And the reason I say that is because conflict is probably the best place that you'll ever find where you can get a better handle on issues buried deep within inside of you, buried within your own personal story, that affect the choices that you make, the way that you confront people, the way that relationships unfold generally. One of the things we found as people have read this book is that they have found, first of all, that they understand conflict in a very, very different light, but also they understand themselves in a much different light. So we think this book will really be helpful to you, not just to you personally, but if you're on an organizational team, in some organizational context, will be really, really helpful for you to get a much better handle on your conflict so that you can have conflict that's really, really helpful in moving your organization forward.